This is the Gens Weekly Recap presented by Rapid Hockey Academy. Here is Matt Sossler.
Hey Gens fans, and welcome to this Gens Weekly Recap. I'm your host and the voice of the Gens, Matt Sossler. The NAHL team played Maine this past week. Let's take a look to what went down. After a scoreless first frame, the Generals lit the offensive flame when Zach Lindeworth put a loose puck into the cage to give the Generals a 1-0 lead. That lead held for just over 10 minutes when Tristan Facig found the back of the net for the Nordiques to even the score heading into the dressing room. In the final frame, the Generals got off to a good start when Alexander Tutishny found twine for the first time this season. However, Maine would respond on the power play when Isaiah Fox scored to tie the game just beyond the midway point of the period. After a lot of back-and-forth action with the possibility of overtime on the horizon, Kyle Schroeder buried a Zach Lindeworth pass with 20 seconds left in regulation to put the Generals on top for good. Here are Schroeder's thoughts on that last-second lamplighter.
Well, I was just fired up to be back in the lineup. You know, I missed the last 3 games. We had a bunch of guys come back, and so there was just a lot of energy. And the funny thing is I work on that shot, that exact shot, like all the time in practice. And so when I got it, I just knew like exactly where I was going to put it. And I just shot it high to the blocker side, and it went in, and everyone went crazy. It was electric.
Now a look at some numbers. Again, Alexander Tutishny with a goal and 2 assists. Kyle Schroeder, a goal and an assist. Zach Lindeworth, a goal and an assist. Jonathan Young and John Musella, each with an assist. And Hugo Haas standing tall in between the pipes with 40 saves. The NA3HL Generals were also in action. They took on Bay State this past week. Looking to continue their winning ways, the Generals got on the board first, courtesy of Captain Nick Racker, just past the midway point of the opening frame. That lead would hold heading into the second stanza when Bay State showed that their adjustments worked when they scored 2 quick tallies around 4 minutes apart to take the lead. However, the Generals responded when Nicholas Oborn scored to even the score. With the game tied in the final minute of the period, Deacon Moore found twine to give the Generals the lead heading into the locker room. In the final frame, it was all Generals when they scored 3 goals within a minute and 2 seconds. At the 5:59 mark, Peyton Felix had the first, Drew Schummel the second, and Sean Gorman the third. With a padded lead, the Generals were not done yet when Jacob Kaczynski found the back of the net at the 14:22 mark to give the Generals the commanding lead and the 7-2 victory. Northeast outshot Bay State 68-30, and Tim Pesic made 28 saves. A look at some more numbers. Deacon Moore with a goal and 2 assists. Drew Schummel, Nicholas Oborn, Peyton Felix a goal each and an assist each. Ben Pizzametti, Tyler Kaminsky, and Sean Loftus each with 2 assists. Jacob Kaczynski and Nick Racker each with a goal. And James Clark and Jacob Kaminsky each with an assist. The Generals currently sit in first place in the NA3 East. The Generals outshot Bay State 68-30. And 12 Generals obtained at least 1 point. In addition to those highlights, we also had the privilege of catching up with head coach Brian Erickson. Here is what he had to say.
Hey Gens fans, and welcome to this Gens Coaches Corner. I'm Matt Sossler, and I'm joined by NAHL head coach Brian Erickson. And coach, just to start off, give me some of your reflections. You've been playing about a month or so. Take me through what that month has been like.
I'm happy that we've been able to play games. I know when we look at the standings, we see a lot of teams that played 1 or 2 games. And our North American Hockey League team, we played 11. We've had our own battles with COVID, as everybody else has, but we've been able to power through most of them and get these guys on the ice and get them the exposure that they need. The NA3, there's been some restrictions put in place that might hinder us a little bit going forward, but we've just adapted. We want to get these kids on the ice, and really excited about the fact that we played a lot of games and we still have a lot of games coming up.
And coach, you mentioned that you had a lot of COVID issues, you had a lot of roster turnover. How did that impact the team chemistry?
I think, when you look at the kids that were impacted by COVID, was our whole first line, our whole top pair. It obviously puts you at a deficit. But these kids are resilient, and, our captain, Dylan Chouette, who was ready, and he's looking for his Division I commitment, kind of owe it to him and to the other guys like Lee McCanny, and making sure that they got on the ice in front of scouts. And so we played, and I thought we played a pretty good 54 minutes in Danbury. We had a really bad 6-minute stretch that ended up being the reason why we lost. Then the next night we played really well against New Jersey and were able to come away with 2 points. And then the next me kind of riding the top guys a lot. Kind of showing through. We ended up going into the third period tied 2-2. I actually thought we played our best period, but I think just from an intensity and energy standpoint, we weren't able to keep the momentum going. And when they scored to make it 3-2, it was hard. But I was really happy to get 2 points, and then obviously get healthy-ish. We're back to almost full strength. Still missing a huge piece in Tyler Cooper, but to be able to play Maine relatively healthy, first place team, and we didn't play our best game. I don't think they played their best game either, but when you're not playing your best and you're winning hockey games, that's the sign of a team that's improving a lot.
And Coach, you mentioned that first line of McCanny, Chouette, and Kern. Take me through what that first line has meant to you.
Yeah, I mean, Lee McCanny has been with us for 3 years. Great kid, assistant captain. He's always ready to play. Scoring and points have always, he's gotten better every year that he's been in the league. That was a point per game guy. Dylan Chouette, same thing, kind of had to work his way up, and he's always been very hard on pucks, very good in the D zone, but hasn't been a guy that's put up a ton of points, put up close to 30 points last year, which was a huge year, and now he's at a point per game again. We traded for Aiden Kern, probably about 4 games into the season, local kid, been a great addition. He's averaged a little over a point per game, and that line, I asked them before we went down on that 3-game road trip where we were very short-handed that I needed to step up from a point standpoint, which is something I never asked of kids, and they really took it on themselves to make a big contribution. And we saw Aiden Player of the Week, and it's well deserved, but easily could have been Liam or Dylan.
And now flipping the ice, goalie Hugo Haas, in addition to Joey Sinise, has been absolutely phenomenal. Hugo Haas was Star of the Week in the East Division, as well as being nominated for Goalie of the Month. What does it mean to have strength in between the pipes?
It's always been huge for us. I mean, for any team, like Hugo's, we've been on for 2 years. To finally get him over here this year, obviously was great. He's been better than advertised. He's just common. The kids play different in front of him. But we can't discount the importance of Joey Sinise and what he's meant to our program last year and this year. One of the staples of the Gems has been good goaltending. We've had Dave Vinyl, who's at Brown, David Fezzik, who's at Alabama Huntsville, that met with Pasquale, who's at UConn. We have Hugo Haas, who had a ton of Division I interest, and we have Joey Sinise. So, Hugo's getting recognition that's well deserved. But he's also being pushed really hard by Joey in practice, and Joey's had a little bit of a snake bite to start the season, but it's not from lack of effort, it's not from a lack of competing. So we look forward to both of them continuing to contribute down the way.
And you're traveling down to Maryland this week to face off against former General Cam Gaudet. Obviously, you and Cam very, very close. What's that going to be like?
Well, Cam, I think of him like a son, very close to the Gaudet family. I coached Brady, the older brother at Maine. Obviously, I coached Cam for a number of years. It was great for him to kind of get away from really only 2 coaches through his whole career and go down there. It's going to be, mixed emotions coaching against him, but we talk, every couple of weeks anyway, and he's a great kid. He's enjoying his time down there, and I hope he stinks, to be quite honest, on Thursday and Friday. And I hope he turns the puck over and we score a ton of goals, and then he's great when we don't play him. But I'm not rooting for him to succeed when we play him. I'm not rooting for him to do anything other than some of the stuff that he did to us. Sometimes taking bad penalties, sometimes turning pucks over. I'm hoping that he returns.
And as I mentioned again, you're heading down to Maryland. What does this team need to do to come away with 4 points?
I think the key is we've gotten better. One, we're getting healthier. We've got to play a game with our full lineup, right? Which that's not an excuse of why our record is what it is. It needs to be better. We weren't finishing checks hard. We weren't forechecking correctly. We had to make some adjustments in the defensive zone. We've been on the penalty kill more than any team in the league. We've been on the power play as little as any team in the league. We got to do a better job. Our special teams have been phenomenal. I mean, we've killed a ton of penalties, but it does take its toll on the next shift after a kill. And I think if we can stay out of the box, we can finish our hits. Maryland's a very heavy team, very well. Clint does a great job with them. I think we can win both games. I mean, I think every team is beatable in this league, but that includes us. I think any team could beat any team on any given day. So our focus is on Thursday. I'm not focused on 4 points. I'm focused on the 2 on Thursday. And then if and when we win on Thursday, I'll focus on the 2 on Friday. But for us, our guys going into the break playing some really good hockey, be able to get home, get some relaxation with some family, then get back here and get back at it in December is going to be a huge step for us.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us here on the Gens Coaches Corner. Again, that's going to wrap up this edition, not only of the Coaches Corner, but of this Gens Weekly Recap. The Northeast Generals NA squad will be traveling down to Maryland later this week to take on the Black Bears. They are within 1 point of each other in the East Division standings, so a lot is on the line down in Maryland. The NA3HL Generals are off this upcoming weekend. For everyone here at the entire Northeast Generals organization, I'm Matt Sosler. Thank you for listening to this Gens Weekly Recap.